Shooter Shrinker shrinks rubbish. A machine called the Shooter Shrinker has been invented by Professor P. Shooter. It is a large machine that turns rubbish into a mash and then shrinks it to the size of a small pea. Professor P. Shooter is a well-known inventor. His Shooter Shrinker looks set to be his greatest invention yet. Flashback. Scenes of last year's accident at the Shooter residence. Readers might recall an accident last year, when one of the professor's inventions blew up, burning his hair and his clothes. He says there will be no such problems with the new shrinker. The Shooter Shrinker was used first to shrink his dog. Then the professor shrank his cat and his car. Then he had the great idea of shrinking rubbish. The Shooter Shrinker. The Shooter Shrinker has a funnel and a chute, connected by a lot of pipes and tubes. Residents' opinions. A Snugtown Weekly Special Survey. Earlier models of the machine were noisy, says local neighbor. Earlier models of the machine were noisy, bringing complaints from the neighbors. However, Professor P. Shooter has made changes, and the neighbors report they are happy with the latest machine. More comments on pages 12 and 13. Rubbish needed. The Shooter Shrinker machine can handle large amounts of rubbish. And Professor P. Shooter is busy collecting rubbish to keep the Shooter Shrinker working. Residents' opinions. Continued from page 9. Some of our townspeople were asked what they thought of the new invention. I am delighted that at last Professor P. Shooter has invented something useful, said Ted Cabs, a taxi driver. Our town needs to be cleaned up. It's great, said L. Carter, rubbish collector. I will offer my truck to collect the rubbish. It's fantastic, said Emma Little, from the local school. My friends and I want to help Professor P. Shooter collect rubbish. Unhappy. One person who was not happy was Gregory Grab, the tip supervisor. This machine will put me out of a job. I have a wife and 2 children to support, said Mr. Grab. However, Professor P. Shooter has asked Mr. Grab to manage the Shooter Shrinker. All the Grabs are now happy. So it seems that Snugtown is a lucky town. It will never have a rubbish problem, thanks to Professor P. Shooter and the Shooter Shrinker.